Welcome to our peaceful space where I am Lyra and I am so happy you have joined me today. Every single day brings its own unique rhythm. We walk through a constant stream of tiny interactions with the world. People move around us in cafes and offices and busy grocery stores. We often need gentle ways to navigate these moments smoothly. The words we choose can build bridges or they can build walls. Today, we are looking at beautiful ways to keep those bridges wide open. Sometimes time simply gets away from us in the quiet morning. You want to tell someone that you will not arrive at the planned hour. Saying you are late feels very final and quite heavy. People prefer to say they are running behind. You are physically moving forward, but the clock is just a little faster than you today. You message your friend waiting at the restaurant to say you're running behind. It tells them you are actively trying to get there. You call your morning meeting to admit you are running behind. They know you are on your way but just need a few extra minutes. Delays happen even when we are standing right in front of someone. You might be struggling with a slow computer or searching your heavy bag. The formal way is to ask someone for their patience. A much more natural approach is to ask them to bear with me. You're asking them to carry this small burden of waiting alongside you. A hotel clerk dealing with a frozen screen will ask the guest to bear with me. It creates a small team facing the tiny delay together. A teacher fixing a broken projector will ask the students to bear with me. It feels incredibly human and deeply polite. Information changes rapidly throughout the course of our busy days. You want to know how a situation develops over the next few hours? Asking someone to report back to you sounds like a strict military command. Friends and colleagues simply ask you to keep me posted. You are asking them to act like a news reporter sending small, gentle updates. A friend is waiting for the result of a difficult medical test. You hug them and ask them to keep me posted. A colleague is negotiating a tough contract with a client all afternoon. You tell them to keep me posted as things progress. Human memory is a deeply imperfect and fragile thing. Admitting you forgot something can feel like confessing a terrible crime. It sounds very harsh to state you forgot their birthday entirely. A softer alternative is to say it slipped my mind. Picture a physical thought covered in oil sliding completely out of your brain. You realize you never bought the milk for family dinner. You apologize to your partner and say it slipped my mind. It makes the mistake sound like a perfectly natural accident. You missed a minor deadline for a work document. You admit to your team it slipped my mind. Energy eventually runs out when you have been working very hard. Announcing that you are stopping work sounds extremely abrupt. It feels much more natural to suggest we call it a day. You're giving the current day permission to finally end. You and a friend have been painting the living room for 6 long hours. You drop your brush and suggest you call it a day. It means the physical work is over until tomorrow morning. A team has been staring at a complex spreadsheet since early dawn. The manager sees their tired faces and says to call it a day. We all experience moments where demands totally overwhelm our available time. Saying you have too much work sounds like a heavy and bitter complaint. People soften this by saying they have a lot on my plate. Imagine sitting at a dinner table with food piled incredibly high. You cannot possibly eat another single bite of food. A coworker asks if you can take on a new weekly report. You smile and explain you have a lot on my plate right now. It gently declines the task without sounding lazy. A relative asks you to plan a huge family gathering. You admit you have a lot on my plate this month. Missing the start of an event leaves you feeling slightly lost. Asking someone for a complete summary feels like assigning them heavy homework. You simply ask them to fill me in instead. Imagine yourself as a completely empty cup waiting for fresh, clear water. You walk into a meeting 20 minutes after it originally began. You quietly sit down and ask the person next to you to fill me in. They will give you the most important details in a whisper. You return from a long vacation and meet your best friend. You ask them to fill me in on all the local neighborhood news. We often need the specific knowledge that someone else possesses. Requesting a formal consultation sounds incredibly dry and far too serious. A friendly way to ask for advice is to say you want to pick your brain. You want to gently harvest a few of their clever thoughts. You admire how a colleague organizes their digital files so perfectly. You ask if you can pick their brain over a warm cup of coffee. It sounds like a fun compliment rather than a boring task. You want to start a vegetable garden just like your neighbor has. You invite them over to pick their brain about growing fresh tomatoes. Major decisions always require a quiet space for clear mental reflection. Telling someone you refuse to decide right now creates instant conflict. It is much wiser to tell them you will sleep on it. You are letting the quiet hours of the night do the heavy thinking. A salesperson offers you a fantastic deal on a shiny new car. You thank them and say you need to sleep on it. It buys you essential time without losing the opportunity entirely. Your partner suggests moving to a completely different city for new work. You hold their hand and say you both should sleep on it. Learning a new physical or mental skill involves plenty of clumsy moments. Saying you finally acquired the skill sounds like reading an instruction manual. People prefer to say they finally get the hang of it. Think of finding the perfect balance while riding a fast bicycle. You struggle to use a complex new coffee machine for 3 days. On the 4th morning, you tell your family you get the hang of it. The early frustration has completely vanished. You take a beginner dance class and step on toes for several weeks. Eventually, the music makes sense and you get the hang of it. Memory sometimes needs a small, gentle push to activate properly. Stating you do not remember a name is perfectly fine but very plain. People often say a name or place does not ring a bell. Imagine a tiny silver bell sitting quietly in the back of your mind. Someone mentions a distant cousin from a childhood summer party. You politely admit the name does not ring a bell. The tiny memory bell remains completely silent and still. A colleague asks about a financial document from 3 years ago. You shake your head and say it does not ring a bell at all. Projects and conversations must always reach their final natural conclusion. Ordering people to finish immediately sounds incredibly rude and highly aggressive. A collaborative way to close things down is to say we should wrap it up. Think of putting colorful paper around a beautiful square gift box. The meeting has gone 20 minutes past the original scheduled time. The leader smiles and suggests they wrap it up for today. It signals a soft and highly orderly ending. You're talking to a friend late at night in a cold, dark park. You shiver and suggest you wrap it up and head safely home. Big tasks become much lighter when multiple people share the heavy burden. Demanding that everyone works hard creates a very negative group atmosphere. A positive leader asks everyone to pitch in instead. It means throwing your own small effort into the larger group pile. A family is cleaning the entire house before important guests arrive. The parents ask the young children to pitch in with the dusting. It makes the work feel like a shared and fun family mission. A local community garden needs clearing before the deep winter snow. The organizer asks neighbors to pitch in for just 1 single hour. Physical exertion takes a severe toll on our fragile human bodies. Announcing you need oxygen sounds like a true and terrifying medical emergency. It is perfectly natural to say you just need to catch my breath. You are literally waiting for your tired lungs to catch up with your body. You carry heavy wooden boxes up 3 flights of narrow stairs. You reach the top and tell your friend you must catch your breath. It asks for a brief pause without creating any sudden panic. You finish a long run through the park with your happy dog. You sit on a wooden bench to catch your breath. Timing is absolutely critical in both daily life and complex business. Telling someone to delay an action can easily sound like a harsh rejection. It is much softer to ask them to hold off on it. You're keeping the idea safely hovering in the air for later use. Your family wants to book expensive summer flights right this minute. You ask them to hold off on buying tickets until prices drop. The vacation plan is still alive but temporarily paused. A manager wants to launch a new product campaign immediately today. The designer asks to hold off on the launch until the website works perfectly. Absence happens frequently, and someone must constantly fill the newly empty space. Saying you will replace someone sounds slightly cold and highly mechanical. People generously offer to step in when sudden help is needed. You are physically stepping into their empty shoes for a very short time. A coworker falls ill right before giving a major public presentation. You volunteer to step in and deliver the speech for them. It shows wonderful and brave support for your absent colleague. The coach of a youth football team gets a flat car tire. A parent offers to step in and lead the warm-up exercises. Truth can sometimes carry a very sharp and deeply painful edge. Telling someone you will speak bluntly can make them instantly defensive. People often promise they will not sugarcoat it when sharing tough news. You are refusing to cover a bitter truth with sweet melted candy. A doctor needs to explain the serious risks of a minor surgery. They tell the patient they will not sugarcoat it. It prepares the listener for an honest and highly mature conversation. Your friend asks if their new expensive haircut looks terrible. You sigh and say you cannot sugarcoat it. Rigid plans often shatter when they meet real-world daily obstacles. Stating you will accept fate sounds deeply philosophical and a bit strange. A casual attitude is beautifully expressed by deciding to go with the flow. You become like water moving smoothly around heavy rocks in a stream. Your travel group misses the early train to the ancient ruins. You smile and tell everyone to just go with the flow. You might find a wonderful hidden cafe while waiting for the next train. A sudden rainstorm ruins your outdoor summer garden party. You move everyone inside and decide to go with the flow. Building this kind of natural comfort is exactly what we practice together here at SpeakFlow English. Learning a language should never feel like a punishment or a chore. Some conversations wander aimlessly through useless details for many long hours. Telling someone to get to the point can sound incredibly hostile. A more colorful approach is asking to cut to the chase. It refers to skipping directly to the exciting action scene in an old film. A vendor is explaining the complex history of their entire company. You politely ask them to cut to the chase regarding the final price. It saves valuable time without starting a bitter argument. Your sibling is telling a confusing story about their morning commute. You laugh and tell them to cut to the chase. Drawing attention to a minor detail requires a very delicate touch. Announcing that someone missed something makes them feel foolish and small. It is much kinder to say you would like to point out a detail. You are just acting as a helpful, friendly guide showing them the scenery. A team member submits a report with a minor calculation error. You gently point out the mistake in the final bottom column. It feels highly collaborative rather than deeply critical. You are looking at a beautiful painted landscape in an art gallery. You point out a tiny yellow bird hidden in the painted trees. Welcoming guests is an ancient and beautiful human social tradition. Telling someone they are permitted to relax sounds incredibly stiff and weird. The warmest greeting is to tell them to make yourself at home. You are giving them temporary ownership of your personal private space. A new friend comes over for Sunday dinner for the very first time. You take their wet winter coat and tell them to make yourself at home. It instantly removes their nervous guest energy completely. A colleague visits your desk to work on a joint project. You pull up a chair and tell them to make yourself at home. Surprises drop into our daily lives without any warning at all. Describing an event as unexpected is accurate but completely lacks poetry. People love to say something happened totally out of the blue. Imagine a clear blue sky suddenly dropping a heavy stone onto the grass. An old school friend calls you after 10 long years of total silence. You tell your family the call came completely out of the blue. It captures the pure magic and shock of the moment. You receive a very large refund check in the morning mail. You smile because this extra money arrived out of the blue. Patience is heavily tested by annoying situations every single passing day. Declaring you will tolerate something sounds like a severe judge in court. People naturally say they have to put up with a difficult situation. It feels like carrying a heavy physical weight that you cannot put down. Your apartment building has noisy construction work happening every single morning. You tell your friends you just have to put up with it. You have absolutely no power to stop the loud machines. A commuter train is always freezing cold in the dark winter. You simply put up with it to get to your office. Parting ways should always leave a warm, positive feeling in the air. Telling someone to remain safe sounds like they are in terrible danger. A highly friendly farewell is to tell someone to take it easy. You are wishing them a smooth and highly peaceful path forward. You finish playing basketball with close friends on a hot afternoon. You wave goodbye and tell them to take it easy. It is very casual and deeply relaxed. You drop a package off with your favorite local postal worker. You smile at them and tell them to take it easy today. Supplies eventually vanish when we consume them in our daily lives. Stating that our inventory is completely depleted sounds like a robot in a factory. We usually just say we run out of something important. The item literally sprinted away from us and is now completely gone. You're baking a huge chocolate cake for a special birthday party. You realize you run out of sugar halfway through the complex recipe. It is a simple, honest statement of physical fact. You are driving down a lonely, dark country road at midnight. You start to worry you will run out of fuel before morning. Assistance is the essential glue that holds our communities together. Requesting formal aid sounds like a desperate public plea for rescue. A highly friendly request is to ask someone to give a hand. You just need the physical help of their two human hands. You are struggling to carry a heavy new TV out of the store. You ask a passing stranger to give a hand with the awkward box. It is a small request they can easily and quickly grant. A coworker drops their open folder of loose papers in the busy hallway. You immediately kneel down to give a hand with the mess. Future events often lack clear and highly defined rigid structures. Stating you refuse to plan sounds chaotic and deeply irresponsible to others. A creative alternative is to say we will play it by ear. Think of a talented musician playing a song without looking at the sheet music. You are taking a road trip with no specific destination in mind. You tell your anxious passengers we will just play it by ear. It turns a complete lack of planning into a fun adventure. You do not know what time you will finish work on Friday. You tell your friends to play it by ear for dinner. We explore these subtle human connections at SpeakFlow English because words should always feel good to say. When you feel good, your confidence naturally grows completely on its own. Rest is a precious luxury we all chase constantly through the week. Announcing you will remain in bed sounds slightly lazy and oddly formal. The joyful phrase is to tell people you plan to sleep in. You are letting the beautiful sleep stretch out as far as it wants to go. You have worked 60 hard hours this week and feel entirely exhausted. You tell your family you're going to sleep in on Saturday morning. It establishes a firm boundary around your needed morning rest. Your friend asks if you want to meet for early breakfast on Sunday. You politely decline because you deeply want to sleep in. Maintaining relationships requires brief and highly regular moments of contact. Asking to schedule a status update sounds like pure corporate torture. People vastly prefer to say they want to touch base. It comes from outdoor sports where a runner must briefly step on a marker. A manager sends a team out to work independently all week long. They ask everyone to touch base on Wednesday morning. It means a short, casual conversation rather than a long, formal meeting. You have not spoken to your older sister in a few busy weeks. You call her simply to touch base and hear her warm voice. Thoughts arrive and depart from our busy brains constantly all day. Saying you formulated a new idea sounds like a scientist in a laboratory. It is much more beautiful to say, "A thought crossed my mind." The thought was a quiet traveler just walking across your brain. You see a beautiful old painting in a small antique shop window. It crossed my mind that your mother would truly love it. The idea just arrived softly, entirely on its own. You are making dinner and wonder what your old neighbor is doing lately. You tell your partner the simple question just crossed my mind. Language is a deeply living thing that changes shape depending on who is holding it. The printed grammar rules gave you the necessary blocks to build your strong foundation. But these 30 daily phrases give you the vibrant colors to paint the walls. When you use them, you stop being a simple student of the language. You become a true and active participant in the wider culture. Listen closely to the people around you and notice how they smooth the hard edges of their words. It has been incredibly wonderful sharing this quiet time with you today. Take wonderful care of yourself and keep finding true joy in the conversations ahead of you.